The next 2 weeks are gonna be very crucial and they're gonna be really determine what's gonna happen in the stock market, crypto, oil, and so on. We're gonna discuss about the entire economy as a whole, a bird's eye view, and try to estimate what's gonna happen in the stock market in the month of October. What's up, guys? My name is JC, and welcome to the Wealth Engineering channel. This is where we talk about growth in all aspects of your life, especially your portfolio. We talk about stock, crypto, keep a bird's eye view on the economy to anticipate what will happen and profit from it. If this interests you, make sure you click the like, subscribe, and click that bell. I wanted to thank everyone who viewed my last video, liked and commented, as well as my new viewers. Thank you for your support. I also want to thank everyone who signed up to my technical investor course. Welcome to the community. You have spent so much time in high school, university, and you haven't learned anything about money. This is exactly why I founded the online school Wealth Engineering. The Technical Investor is a complete course that is designed to take the overload of information on YouTube and break it down piece by piece to give you clarity, focus, and direction towards building your wealth. On top of that, I will share with you the exact same strategy that I've used to turn $1,000 into $19,000 in 9 months. We're talking about a 19x growth, and I'll show you exactly how you could use this strategy to increase your net worth. The number one feedback I get from my students is they wish they knew this information earlier, so don't wait any longer and sign up to the course right away. You can also check out my free content, What is Wealth Engineering. Make sure you scroll all the way down and check out this content right here, the next 10 years in crypto, or you can sign up for a free course here to discuss about the 5 things you need to know before making your first investment. The best investment you can make is to invest in your financial education, and we are heading towards arguably the biggest wealth transfer in this century. So make sure you are equipped with the right information to be on the right side of this transfer. I have to say this, I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. My contents are only for educational and entertainment purpose only. With that said, you came here for the truth. Let's just dive deep into it. Alright, as I said, we're going to talk about the forecast. I had created a watch list for this series, the monthly forecast, and we're going to talk about, so I call it the YouTube watch list, and this is where I put the indexed S&P 500. We're going to talk about every single one of them today. I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible, and let's get into it. I also have other indicators as well. This is the RSI, this is the MACD. These are well-known indicators in the world of trading, but I also have one that not many people know about, ADX NDI. So this is one that can be used to understand trend and the strength of the trend. And I also have one that is the ash ribbon. So I'm not gonna use this every often, but whenever there is a trigger as a buy trigger, I'm gonna use this. This is one indicator that can help you understand when is the right time to buy in the market. However, it does not tell you when is the right time to sell. But when you pair this with other indicators, you can have a complete picture of what to do. And we're going to discuss about that. But for the sake of this video, I won't talk too much about these 2 indicators. It's mostly going to be MACD and RSI, and we'll leave it at that. All right, first analysis, let's talk about the S&P 500. So I use this as an indicator to understand what's going to happen on the entire market, but there is a correlation where there is some sort of divergence between the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So maybe in the future, what I'll do is I'll also do an evaluation of the Nasdaq to see if it's a similar pattern or if it's a divergence. Whenever we have a giant correction like this and like this, it usually affects the entire market, including the Nasdaq, like just like this one, for example. But whenever it's something small, like on a daily basis, there may be a diversion where you see the Nasdaq goes up and then the S&P 500 goes down. So I'll add that later, but for now, let's just use the S&P 500. It will do the job just fine. So on the long term, I think the next 2 weeks is going to be very crucial. Why? Because what I am seeing here is I am seeing the early signs of a inverse head and shoulder. So this would be the shoulder, this would be the head, and this would be a formation of a shoulder, the right shoulder. And once this pattern is complete, since this is an inverse head and shoulders, the chances for this to bounce back up are relatively high. But however, it all depends on what happens in the next 2 weeks, because the impact of this news, Trump getting infected, we don't know what's going to happen with the election. We don't know if it's going to be reported. At the end of the debate or a discussion about is Trump is going to have a nice transition to power, so it might use this as a way to basically drag things along. So we don't know how the market's going to react, but that is really going to clear out this uncertainty that we're having here. But what I'm seeing here is I am seeing, basically inverse head and shoulders, and that could be something that is bullish on the market, but we need to see a break above this line. If the market goes sideways or the market goes down, we might see a dip and it's gonna hit this line. So in the next month, this is something I'm gonna keep an eye on and see how it goes. You can also see this in the RSI, and I'm gonna put it on the daily. Look at that. On the daily as well, we can see this is the left shoulder head and we're forming the right shoulders. It's very cool to see that it's above the 50 line, so we're still in the bullish category, and the stock right now, it's forming some sort of bullish pattern, so we don't know, but this can be corrected depending on what happened next 2 weeks. MACD also is getting ready for a cross on the daily chart, so that's also going to be something interested to see what's going to happen. So it's very cool. Next, we have the DXY. So this is an indicator. Actually, I have a Wikipedia for you. So it's an index, all right? And I use this index as a way to estimate the US dollars versus other currency. So if you're a Forex trader, this is something you might want to keep an eye on just to understand how the market is moving as a whole. And it says here that it's an index of the value of the United States dollar relative to a basket of foreign currency. All right, so there's a lot of currencies that we're pairing, and basically we're looking at the strength of the US dollars. Now, the interesting correlation with this index here is when this index is going down, it's actually good for cryptocurrencies and it's good for gold. And when this index is going up, it's actually bad for cryptocurrencies and bad for gold. Now, in the cryptocurrency world, it moves differently than gold. Gold is very slow when it comes to their correction, when it comes to their up and down trend, whereas cryptocurrencies, they can bounce right back up. The only reason why I'm looking into this, it's really to keep an eye on what's happening in the market. And what happened is I also use this as a way. So for example, if I see that there is something like this, like a huge candle, and let's say you didn't know this candle was here, there was a huge candle, it broke small resistance here, right? Actually, it's not small, we broke a significant resistance, so that's a strong break right here. So that could have created a dip in the crypto market, right? The US dollars is getting strong, it creates a dip. That could also be a great buying point on a short-term trade option for cryptocurrencies. So that's another reason why I keep an eye on this pattern and see what is more going on. So on the short term, it seems that on the next 2 or 3 weeks, we might go slightly up. It's very encouraging to see it break this resistance. This resistance has become support. We're going to need to see the next 2 weeks to see if it's going to stay above this line. But again, what really going to make the difference is what is going to happen with the election. Because on the long term, what I am seeing is I am also seeing a bearish pattern, whereas we could consider that a flag where it or wedge. Like basically it goes up, and usually the way this pattern works, it's gonna go up for a while and it's gonna crash down, and the distance that it's gonna crash is gonna be equal to that distance right here. And if that happens, we're looking at this area right here. And if this happens, that if it goes down, it's very bullish for Bitcoin and very bullish for cryptocurrency as a whole. So this is something to keep an eye on in the near future. Maybe you're talking about 2 months from now. This could be accelerated if we're talking about the election. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And this is why I use the DXDI. Next, we're getting a cross on the MACD, so that is bullish on the long term, so it's gonna be interesting. But we're below the 50 on the RSI. The RSI is kind of a lagging indicator, so it's kind of like that's why I use the MACD to anticipate what's gonna happen. So anticipation of a bull, could happen, but it could also stay lower here and build a momentum on the low side. So we really need to see what's going to happen soon. And this is another good example of where I would use the ADX. So to keep it short, I'll make a separate video about it to explain it in details. But to keep it short, I will do this. When you see the red line is up, it means we're bearish. And when you see the green line is up, it means you're bullish. The yellow line, it measures the strength of the trend. So that right now, what we're looking at on a weekly chart is we are on a bearish trend and the strength is high. This is a strength that it's already past its, it passes its previous high. So it might be going even higher. So if this happens and the strength keeps going higher while we have this red line up, that means we're bearish. And if that's the case, the chances to have this crash all the way here is very likely to happen. So this is another example where this indicator can be very useful and help you understand what is most likely to happen. And again, as a trader, as an investor, that's another good reason why you want to have more than one indicators to tell you what's going on, because one indicator might give you a vibe and then the other one, but once you add everything together, you get a better picture. Canadian dollar. I'm not going to spend too much time, but this is it might be a good idea also to have like stocks on the TSX if you're Canadian, or if you are a trader, you want to get into Forex, but you don't want to be too exposed. One way you can play it is using this ETF right here, XDC, and basically it means if this goes up, the Canadian dollar is gaining strength against the US dollar, and if this goes down, the Canadian dollar is losing strength. So that means the US dollar is getting stronger. So that's another way to see it. So for example, if we get a crash here, right, where it goes here, you might see a spike here on this chart. You might see a spike that goes all the way here. So that's an interesting correlation. And on a short term, it could give you like if you're a dividend paying stock on the TSX, if you're looking to buy and then you have a good stock you want to buy, you might want to consider moves like this so that you can have most of your wealth in either US dollars or Canadian dollars. So that's another reason why you would use something like this. or just use option maybe and play the forex market with options. That's another way you could use that. I'll make separate videos about all of that to get more detail. Oil, oil is not really looking good right now. It seems that we're on the verge of breaking this support, and if we do that, it's going to be bearish. All right, it's going to be bearish, and that means anything related to oil is also going to go down, and that's another way you can see it. On the short term, we're not. It's surviving, barely surviving here. We're building some buying pressure, but if it breaks this, it's a very bad sign. And again, the news the next 2 weeks, that could affect the oil market as well. We're looking at oil futures right now, crude oil on the continuous contract. So that's going to be interesting to see. Let me see what other indicators are saying. This is a bearish, right? What else? This is not much momentum happening here, and we're also starting the red line. Let's see what we can define here, but here I like to use the weekly. On the weekly, we're also bearish, so oil is really not looking good. We're about to get the strength is about to be picking up on the. Let me see, it's red. That means it's bearish. The strength is low, but it's heading up, so that means it's gonna pick up in strength. So that the chances for oil to go down are very high. So if you want to play options, you might want to look into put options for anything related to oil. So that's something to keep in mind. Gold, I will tell you what I like about gold. It's still an uptrend on a weekly chart. It hasn't broken the trend, but it has broken a support, right? But it also bounced right back up on the EMA. And when I use the EMA on a weekly chart, it's to me, this is a buying point. Buying point for gold would be right here. And even then, you're not too far off. So we might see a retest of the $2,000 again. But it all depends on the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks are so crucial because it could really change the tide of the market, right? Like right now, we're still bullish-ish long term, but we're building some momentum on the downside. We're almost close to a cross on the ADX. So we might see a correction at some point. On a daily chart, we can turn this off for now. MACD is not looking too favorable. There's not much momentum on the upside. There is below 50, so that's bearish also. So gold might be setting up to test this zone right here, and maybe that could be a buying point for gold holders. But this is where this one was gonna play a factor. So if it breaks this, it could be good for gold. But if it goes up, that's very bad for gold. So we're gonna wait and see what's gonna happen and how the market is going to play it. But for now, it seems that gold is already showing signs of going down. But right here, I love it. I love this right here. Like I would have buy that deep right here. So it's again for now, I would suggest you wait for the next 2 weeks and see where that pattern, this one right here, that pattern we discussed about, where is that gonna go, and that's gonna tell you a clear indicator to see if you should be in gold or not. BLX. So I talked about the course, the free course that I have. I really recommend you to check it out because it's really gonna introduce you to this chart right here. We're looking at the two-year pattern on the downside, and we need to complete this Elliott wave, and I'm expecting a drop at some point here to that zone right here. On a short term, it's looking Bitcoin is looking like it's it's setting up for a down. It still have this downward pattern. On the short term, we might see like spikes every so often so that it builds this pattern nicely and we get rejected, or it might break this and go back here. So we don't know. But regardless of what happens, I'm expecting on a long term, whether we're talking about a couple months from now, that it's still gonna head its way down. So that's gonna be an interesting thing to keep an eye on the monthly forecast. So we'll wait and see. Again, whenever there is a huge correction in the market, we might, if something bad happened next 2 weeks with Trump, we might see a touch on the green line here, so drop all the way to $1,000. If the stock market get a huge bounce down on the downside, we might even see lower than this on the EMA. Weekly chart, we're forming some momentum on the downside, so it seems that we're on schedule on a long term to go that way. So we'll wait and see. But Bitcoin right now, I would say Bitcoin is showing signs of bearish, but we're gonna need more data to see. Yeah, it's showing signs of bearish. So let's see what's happening with the ADX. Strength is low. It's still on a bullish, but it's low. So a change could happen at any time. So Bitcoin right now, again, the lower it goes, the more, the cheaper you can get it at. So that's why it's good to keep an eye on when things go lower. So this is the total market of cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin. All right. So the total market is looking all right, but the reason, let's look at the altcoins. The altcoins is about to retest this major support. We got a trend right here. It's going to be interesting to see if we break that trend or if we continue to go up. So that is very key, and we'll need to know exactly where that is moving in the next couple days, or at least weeks. If this break the trend and go lower like this, it's bad for the entire altcoin market. But if this goes high, we're good. So we need to see what's happening. I think the chances are that it's gonna go higher, but another way that we can see is with the BTC.D. So what this chart is measuring is Bitcoin dominance. All right, and when the chart is going high, it is showing that a lot of strength in Bitcoin. So that means, for example, this means Bitcoin's at that point right here. Bitcoin has 72% of the entire crypto market. All right, and at this point right here where we are right now, it's saying that Bitcoin is 59% of the entire crypto market. So when Bitcoin is losing in dominance, it's because the altcoins are raising in dominance. So that could also give you a good, a good way to see what's happening. Should you be in Bitcoin? Should you be in altcoin? If you're interested in the crypto market, that's a good way to know when you should be in what asset classes. And right now, the prices are like the dominance battle is stuck between these two lines, and we need a decision. We need to know if it's gonna go low, and if that's the case, we're gonna retest this line right here, or are we gonna go high? So that's what we're seeing. Let's see what the indicators are showing. So the indicators are showing momentum building up. Momentum on the RSI starting to go high. We're starting to get across here, but the momentum is still low here, and we're on a weekly chart, so it's gonna take like next 4 weeks might be slow momentum. It's still the DX, it's still high. The distance is far, so I would say in the next 4 weeks we might get closer, but we also seeing the strength going higher. So that means the dominance for Bitcoin is expected to go lower. That's what it means on the long term. And if that's the case, that means altcoins are a very good bet right now. Altcoins are looking like a very good bet, and it's good because that's exactly where I'm at right now. Most of my investments are in altcoin, and for the month of October, it looks like it's altcoin could be a good play. XRP, I just have it in there because I love XRP. One way we can analyze XRP is on a weekly chart. I'll tell you what I love about the chart of XRP. I love that we have been above the EMA on a weekly, but what I don't like is this candle is closing on 18 hours, so by the time you watch this video, this candle might be closing, and we are closing below the EMA. So I need to see a rebound on XRP in the next 3 days above the EMA so that I can feel comfortable. And if I do see this, we're still favorable for the, like, we basically have a bull run starting right now, because it's very rare that XRP goes above the EMA. And when it goes above the EMA, we usually see, look at that, couple of weeks of going high, but it goes low after. So maybe we already went to the high, and it's probably doing exactly the same thing here. So we're gonna wait and see. I love XRP. I made a lot of money in XRP already, so I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Long term, we're seeing low, higher low, higher low, like this. So we're heading towards a point where in a couple of weeks from now, maybe early in January, we might see something like this where it needs to make a decision. And if it breaks this, it's going to blast all the way up. But if it doesn't and it breaks this, then we're going to go retest here first. And we're going to go retest here. And if you can buy XRP around this price, you are gold. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's happening. But right now, we're getting a close below. We've seen this pattern repeated right here with a stronger candle. So at least the candle is not that strong yet. And momentums are picking up. So still on the uptrend. So we're going to wait and see. But I like seeing XRP above the EMA line. When I see this, I usually buy it below the EMA and I wait for it to go up. And I also use this one right here, this chart right here on the daily, to know when to sell, right? But right now, it's we need more data to see where it's going. But at least I'd give you where what the chart is forming, and what we can pay attention to in the next couple of weeks. So with that said, this is the market forecast, the monthly forecast that I had ready for you. Thank you for your time. I'm going to make videos like this once a month where we go over the entire market as a whole. And every Sunday, I'm going to review exactly what we discussed for the month and see where we are heading. So for example, next Sunday, I might go over, hey, did we close above the EMI? And it's going to be a much shorter video, but the monthly ones are going to cover more time. So with that said, thank you for your time again, and we'll talk on the next video.